Good evening, guys. Welcome back to Talking Devils podcast, brought to you by talkdevils.co.uk, your number one independent Manchester United podcast. I'm just off the plane. I'm literally just back from holidays, and there's no place I'd rather be than right here on Talking Devils podcast, talking about the final game of the season, lads. It's mad. We started this podcast about 12 months ago. Myself, Lee, and Phil. Reese, obviously, has been an addition to this podcast, obviously, or later on in the season. But it's a 38 game preview of the Premier League. And here to talk all things Manchester United, all the latest news, transfer news. Also, a new manager looks like starting things early. As my t-shirt says, moving forward. That's literally what looks like Manchester United are doing right now. As always, joined by former Manchester United players Phil Marsh and Lee Lawrence, and also joined by Mr. Reese Russell as well. A lot of things to dive into tonight, guys, in terms of United this week, United this season. Obviously, there are final games against Crystal Palace in the Premier League this Sunday. I was about to say live on BT or Skype. It actually isn't televised this weekend because obviously title race and relegation stuff is going on. So obviously Man United will be taking priority this weekend, which is fine by me. But there's lots to talk about actually, apart from the game really, this evening in terms of what's going on with the football club and kind of what things are happening, ins, outs, but also just as I seen just a couple of minutes ago on my phone, a very important piece of news in terms of a certain staying at the football club and being a very big part of the manager's plans. Phil, I'll just come to you first. First of all, how are you? We do have a new manager in Ten Hag. Obviously, recently just won the Dutch league with Ajax, and rather than go on the party with the Ajax lads, I think it was Ibiza or somewhere where they're gone. Looks like Ten Hag has let his contract 6 weeks early, Phil, and he is currently starting things obviously behind the scenes at Manchester United, and looks like he's getting the ball rolling. Ten Hag's been quoted today as to say, just with regards to Cristiano Ronaldo, let's get the quote up there now, guys. If you bear with me a sec. So it looks like Ten Hag has said, Cristiano is a magnificent footballer, a true winner, and I can't wait to start working with him. Cristiano Ronaldo, Phil, has also said he can't wait to start working with Ten Hag, and he very much looks like he's here to stay. Obviously, being at the age of 37, 38 next season, and we're not in the Champions League, are you surprised that Cristiano is effectively staying at Man United for another year? And given Ten Hag's track record and style of play, are you surprised that Cristiano is staying at Man United, considering all these different ingredients?
Not really. I mean, I think after the season he's had with us, he's been probably, our best player this season, if you look at the overall picture. And I think, in his mind, he's probably, thinking, I want to take Man United back to the sort of, I wouldn't say the glory days, but he wants us maybe to, take us back to what we would class as success. And I think, obviously, he's been at the club now for a year. He's probably looking at some of these younger players that are coming through. You've seen, obviously, this week he's been with Charlie Savage, pictured. So, obviously, he's, a massive influence within the group in terms of, showing how the, pros do it and leading by example. So, I think in his mind now at his age, I think he's probably happy with everything that he's done in terms of, his smash records at international level, Champions League, La Liga, Serie A, Premier League. So, for me, I think his role now is probably next season. He's not going to play every game. He's going to be a massive part of, what we're going to do in terms of the way we're going to play. And I think, obviously, in terms of the Ten Hag system, you probably look at Ronaldo and think he's not got the legs really to sort of, press and sort of do all the stuff that, a typical striker in that formation would do. But what he will give you is guaranteed goals. He'll also give you the experience. He's a winner. The obviously stuff he's doing around the training ground and the dressing room. He's a great mentor. He's somebody who, a lot of these lads look up to. The fans obviously adore him because of, what he's done and what he's all about. So for me, it's fantastic that he's staying. And I think it's great to see that obviously the two have, exchanged nice compliments about each other, which is obviously, great for everyone. And I think for me now, just excited to see how things go. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of goings and comings in the next sort of months. But yeah, obviously great to see that Cristiano's staying, and I think he again will have a big part to play next year in terms of what we're going to do. And as I said, he's going to be somebody who's going to guarantee you 15, 20 goals every single season, because that's just what he does. And there's nothing better than having somebody like that in your changing room.
100%. I think we talk about experience. I think there's a couple of experienced players leaving United this summer. When you look at obviously Pogba, Matic, Mata, players like that leaving the football club, all experienced players in their own right, all probably leaders in the dressing room. Even though, like, if you look at results, you probably would say, right, Pogba probably hasn't done the best this season, but he's a well-liked character in the dressing room. If you look at Mata and Matic, I would definitely say they're leaders in the dressing room and people who probably players look up to. So I think it's very very important that we've kept Ronaldo this summer. Just for leadership alone, definitely. I think if you look at goal scoring, most definitely.
I'd say Jones as well. Even though he's not had a great career, he's always been a well-liked member of the dressing room. He's never had a
senior figure. Yep, a senior figure in the dressing room.
I know he's a bit of hit and miss. He is a divide amongst fans because he's never available. I know myself, I've done it numerous times where I've asked him to be sold because he's just never been around and it's just not right. But when he has played, he will fight tooth and nail. I think that's another example of. So I know he's not the best defender, but if it hadn't been for injuries, he may have been a bit more available. It's just unfortunate that he's just never been around. But I would say he's another loss of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, obviously Jones is another one in the dressing room who we've lost. So keeping Ronaldo for his leadership alone is definitely something that is very important. Phil mentioned goal scoring. Absolutely agree. Like the amount of goals he scored this season, and like statistically the worst Manchester United team of the Premier League era. Look, he's a freak of nature, and the fact that Phil, like you quite rightly mentioned, in terms of Ten Hag and Ronaldo being very complimentary towards each other in the media right now, and like if anyone watched Juventus play Ajax in Champions League, you will actually see them two were very kind of cordial with each other. So let's hope they can continue to have a good relationship going into next season. And look, if Ten Hag wants to kind of get that leadership and kind of leaders in amongst the group again, Ronaldo has to be your go-to guy, I think, next season. Look, it's great to see that we've got clarification that he's staying on both ends, and look, I think that's something that it's great that's been nipped in the bud straight away, and that's not an ongoing saga kind of going into next season. So that's like an income, and that's something that's been very good in terms of we have a bit of continuity going into next season, that we do have a leader leaving the dressing room. Sorry, staying in the dressing room. Lee, a player that me and you said a couple of times on a couple of occasions that we'd like to see how he does under Ten Hag, considering he probably hasn't had elite coaching over his whole time at Man United, is Aaron Wan Bissaka. Looks like Ten Hag, he's not part of Ten Hag plans. Looks like Man United are open to leaving him go, whether it's on a loan deal or a permanent deal. I was a bit shocked. I was thinking United actually might keep him, because considering it was only a couple of years ago we paid 50 million quid for him. And like, to be fair, his defensive qualities are quite good. Like I think he's a brilliant 1v1 defender. Obviously sometimes his going forward could be a bit can be left desired there. But Lee, are you shocked with the news that Wan Bissaka United are kind of open to leave him go when you consider the situation with, I suppose, all four fullbacks this season, they've been stop-start. But I think when we looked at potential, like all four of us here have collectively agreed that Aaron Wan Bissaka probably is number one, the most coachable, and probably the one that can maybe develop most out of the four fullbacks. that we have in the first team. Obviously, we spoke about Fernandes previously. He's someone who's technically not a first team member yet, but are you shocked by this news that the club are gonna be ruthless with this and actually get rid?
Yeah, a little bit shocked. Like I say, you've just said everything that we've said over the last few weeks. We've not hid the fact that the fullbacks have been nowhere near the standard what we've needed this season. All four of them have really been nowhere near, like I just said. But I think we said it on the last podcast. If we was going to choose any two, which we would probably kept, Aaron Wan Bissaka would have probably been one of them. Potential wise, he's probably our best one-on-one defender we've got in the squad. Sometimes when he does go forward, it looks like he's got it in him to do well. Defensive positional wise, it just looks like if he could be coached a little bit better, then he could have flourished under a decent manager who took the time to probably coach him a little bit better. That's what it looks like on the surface. We don't know what goes on, behind closed doors. We don't know he's in training. We don't know whether he has been getting the coaching what he's needed and he's just not developed the way they thought he was going to do. But yeah, I was a little surprised. I would have thought, if anything, they might have looked at getting rid of Dalot. I know there's... Sorry, mate, I can't hear you. You've just got on mute a second.
I was like, that was my train of thought as well. I thought that would have been the case out of probably all four.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is, like I say, I know we're getting linked with every single man and his dog at the minute, which we all knew was going to happen. But there's a strong link to, is it Timber, the lad from Ajax? He's obviously a right central defender, and he can play right back or both positions. Young lad, whether they're trying to cash in. I mean, I don't think they're going to get the 50 million they originally thought to it for Wan Bissaka. I'd be surprised if they do, but whether they're just trying to get a bit more money back, and just thinking that he's surplus to requirements, why they get this, the young lad from Ajax. But like I say, it's a difficult one, because if it was me, I probably would have done it the opposite way around and tried to get rid of Dalot before I got rid of Wan Bissaka. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, look, that was kind of all of our trains of thought, going into next season. We were thinking maybe Dalot would leave, and then maybe it'd be kind of Wan Bissaka eating Laird. That was probably, everyone's saying that would have been the most likely situation. Obviously, the Timber links are there. And to be fair, look, if this is what Ten Hag wants to do, and he wants to bring in Timbers, a player he knows can play his system and his style of play, then look, we get behind that and we back that straight away. That's what he wants to do. Let's leave him implement his philosophy. I remember a couple of years ago when Pep Guardiola went in and took over City, and he got rid of a couple of fan favourites over there. And he got particular players in to fit the system. And whether it was frowned upon at first, he got the right players in. Now, I know the comment section just come at me now in the second, but he spent this, that, and the other. But this is the thing. He didn't care about who was the favourite and who was kind of a player who had this potential in this certain setup. Looks like Ten Hag, what he wants to do now is to get the players in that fit his ideologies and obviously progress going forward. But before I come to you, Reese, on just the next topic of conversation for today's show, I'm just going to come to a couple of comments here. Gainer's here. Evening, Gainer. Hope you're well. Gainer actually agrees with all of us. Says, I think Aaron Wan Bissaka should be given a chance under Ten Hag. He had a great first season, and defensively he is excellent. I absolutely agree with that. I think his 1v1 defending is quite good. I think Lee hit the nail on the head in terms of sometimes positionally, it can be left to be desired. I think as well, you're right, Lee. I think with a bit of maybe elite coaching, he may improve. In terms of, I think positional play can be improved. If that's done extensively on the training ground. I even just know at this level, I played right back. I moved from centre back to right back, and I actually had to get a bit of coaching in terms of where to be, when to go and when not to go, when to hold position, when the left back goes. So you talk in, that type of way. There's different elements of coaching that a right back can get. And I think with Wan Bissaka, he didn't really have much of a defensive coach when Solskjaer was there, because that there wasn't really that kind of style of play. Under Rangnick, he's been in and out, and Rangnick's preferred Dalot to himself. So I think Wan Bissaka, he could have got a chance. But look, if Ten Hag wants to bring in Timber, and he wants to bring Timber into play his style of football, have at it straight away. I will absolutely support that decision. Ten Hag knows more than me and Reese here. Phil and Lee have obviously played the game, so like they obviously Phil's actually played right back as well, even though he says he's a striker. He's played right back as well, so Phil knows how to play there too. So, Phil has great knowledge on that role as well. So, I'll take you're on mute there, Phil.
The opposite of Wan Bissaka, though. I was good going forward, not bad at crossing in that, but defensively, never mind. Forget about it.
I mean, some of the stuff I've seen with Wan Bissaka, don't get me wrong, he's very, very inconsistent with his forward play. But sometimes when he's on song, some of his forward play has been excellent. I mean, a lot of it's not been, you know what I mean? But on your particular game, and you watch him going forward and taking plays on, sometimes you think that you can do it. He's actually got it in his locker to do it. It's just a consistency thing with him, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I think the consistency is definitely a problem. And I think as well, if you look at, like Jim rightly pointed out, he was a winger before he became a fullback. Like he actually played right wing for Palace underage, and then he under Roy, I believe it was under Roy. People might correct me here, but he played right wing back there, and he did kind of slot in as a right back eventually. But that's what I mean in terms of like coaching into that, like playing right back in a back four with a team that plays attacking football. He probably hasn't had the chance to do that because under Solskjaer it was more like kind of counter-attacking football. Rangnick, I'm going to be honest, it's been a bit all over the place. I don't know what our style of play is really under him, to be brutally honest about it. And that's not me turning against the manager. I'm just saying 1 week we're playing 4-4-2, the next week we're playing 4-3-3, the week later we're playing 4-2-3-1. There's been no continuity in this kind of couple of months.
I think it does help a fullback too, just going back to your point where 1 minute you're playing with Rashford, then you're playing with Elanga, then you're playing with someone else and Sancho, and you're not forming no bonds within that, with that first 11. So sometimes, you know what I mean, when you're playing consistently up a left side or a right side with a player, and you know which other inside out, you form that bond like Gary Neville and Beckham, etc. You know what I mean?
Relationships.
It helps hell of a lot, kind of thing. So I think that's been that's why a lot of the team, not just the fullbacks, but basically across the whole squad has struggled because we've had no consistency again with a starting 11 either.
Yeah, what 100%. It's like that. You like playing fullback. You need to kind of build that. You're absolutely rightly like that relationship with your partner on the wing. Like you need to kind of like where they're going to be, when to play that pass. You know what run they're going to make. You know that kind of stuff when you play fullback. But when it's a different partner, they have different skill sets, different. They might make a different run. Their timing might be different. So I think like when you look at it from that respect, I think not just Wan Bissaka, but I think our fullbacks in general, probably bar Luke Shaw, who I think has a great relationship with Rashford on that left hand side, and when they do play together. To our fullbacks and wingers haven't developed as much relationship, and there's been no continuity there. Lee, you're absolutely right. It's going to come to just a couple of more comments here as well. Jim says here, can the players impress Ten Hag Sunday? Obviously, that's the title of our video here tonight. Leopards don't change the spots out 37 games. Think about this is though, Jim. Which players are we going to talk about in terms of impress Ten Hag? Is it the usual suspects or someone else? Stay tuned to the show. You will find out, Mr. Jim. But thanks very much for tuning in tonight, by the way, pal. Much appreciated. We do love the support. Wayne is in the comments. It says, "Evening, lads. Hope everyone is well. Hope you're doing good, Wayne. I hope you enjoyed your holiday over in the States. So from looking at your Instagram, it looked like you're having an absolute blast. So hope you're well, pal. And hopefully, to look, Man United, don't wreck your head this weekend, because they probably do it to all of us. But look, it's just the way life is at the moment. And yeah, Helly makes a good point as well. Heard the club was looking to sell Brandon Williams also. I'd really like to hang on to him. Really excited about the Timber rumours. He's excellent and versatile. Yeah, look, I think that's a very good caveat about buying him. I think the fact he's quick and he's adaptable to play either centre back or right back. And also when Ten Hag sometimes switches to a back three, Timber can also play there too. So I think that's where Ten Hag's thinking is in terms of United's transition with the ball and without the ball. So I think Timber will be a very vital cog of United's system. If he is to come to Man United, which look, I dare to say in these next podcasts and the off-season, we will be speculating who comes into United's system and what players. I dare to say I'm going to have Lee Lawrence's head wrecked when the podcast isn't on, saying we're linked with this player, we're linked with that player, we're going to be talking about this guy on Friday. I'm going to have Phil, Lee, and everyone's head wrecked with the players we talk about every week and research. Don't worry, we're going to be discussing a lot of players in this new Ten Hag era in the off season. So don't worry. Just when the season's over, we're not taking a break. We're keeping this ball going. We're going to keep it running. And Box says Timber needs to put on some muscle. He is called Timber. He can't put up some more timber, some more muscle. But before we get sidetracked here, Reese. Obviously, this has been a strange season. We've had many chats about kind of Ollie, Ralph, Carrick, all these different managers who we thought should have stayed on after Ollie, etc. We've had this chat offline. I don't think we're going to have this debate tonight because we both have different ideas. But obviously, Sunday's very symbolic. Crystal Palace was Ralph's first game. Yeah. It's now going to be his last game as interim manager. Title of video is obviously Can Players Impress Ten Hag? This weekend, what is your thought process? Because Ralph Rangnick doesn't have much to lose, I suppose, for his own reputation, really, to be quite honest. Sunday's a free hit for me, I think Sunday's massively a free hit for him. Obviously, he's going into his consultancy role. He's going taking over Austria as well. And he's talked a lot recently about playing the young players. And he's talked a lot about recently of kind of planning for the future. Now, there's a couple of injuries in their squad. I know we're going to get to start 11s just in a while in terms of 11, but we've seen the likes of Charlie Savage come into training recently. Mengi's back. He won't be eligible. He's not registered with the Premier League. Fernandez, Garnacho, Hannibal. Pogba obviously is not playing due to other reasons. The fact that there's not really much, I look at this way. I don't think the fans will be bothered which one we're in, either Europa League or the Conference League at this stage. We just want to see the final game of the season. We kind of want to see a season, I suppose, with being a cluster of negativity. I think it'd be great to see the young lads like the Savage, Garnacho, Hannibal this weekend. Do you think Rangnick should do that, or do you think maybe the club, from a financial standpoint, would maybe be saying to him, we need Europa League football, it's more money? For me, I think the Conference League for our younger players could actually be a brilliant experience. I think they could actually get quite far into it. What do you think?
I think one way or another, experience is experience, regardless of the European competition. I do think there is going to be something over his head where he will have to play more experience, but I'll be honest, I really couldn't give a I really don't care what one we're in. It's just, I just want to see some players actually be more serious about the implications about what happens on Sunday. Because this is just players, managers, inter-managers, 4-game managers, a manager over 3 years who back-to-back top 4 finishes but didn't win a trophy, all of this, all of that. It's always been up and down. It's never been consistent. And it's just constant issue after issue after issue that's been repetitive. And there's never been really a proper solution. Now we're at least looking to get a proper solution and a proper manager. So at least that's one out of the way. I don't think he'll really care. I generally don't think Ten Hag will care if he's in the Europa League or the Conference League, because he knows for him, he knows his aim is to get the club back into the Champions League, back into winning trophies. Either way that works. I don't particularly care what trophy, what European competition we're in next year. I really don't mind, but
I think it's the fact that we're in Europe anyway. Either way.
It's like we'll take it seriously. Like, we won't mug the competition off. Like, we'll play youth players, we'll play reserves now and then, but we'll still take it seriously. Like, we won't play these players just because it's just to keep our first team fit. No, he will take it seriously. He'll want to win it. But in terms of Sunday, bit of a free hit, but I think he will want to go out with a win. Do I think we're going to beat Palace? So I don't know. I mean, they'll have a bit of... I watched the game against Everton. They bottled it. So I think Vieira he'll want to go out with something to prove as well. He'll want to get a good end to the season for Palace. I think for Ralph, it's more or less just pick the players that he thinks deserves to play. Just if he thinks the young players deserve to play, pick the young players. If he thinks the experienced players have worked harder than the youth, play the experienced players. I honestly don't care who he plays on Sunday. I just want it to be the team that actually deserves to be on the pitch. I want to see people who have actually worked hard get their minutes, not favouritism.
100%.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, I think that, look, regardless of what football club it is, whereas Man United or whether it's the under-23s or whether it's FC United in Manchester or Salford or whoever it is, I'm naming off clubs obviously local to United.
Oldham Athletic for all I care. I generally don't.
It could be anybody. You have to be playing on merit, and I think this weekend, I think there's a lot of invaluable experience that could be had. I think if you look at Selhurst Park final game of the season, Palace have been brilliant under Vieira. I know they bottled it last night, but Palace have been overall this season have been brilliant against Vieira. Not against Vieira, with Vieira. They've been brilliant. Also, like if you look at Selhurst Park, going there, it's a real hostile atmosphere. The ground is probably one of the best away days because the crowd is always bouncing. The atmosphere there is always good. So I think for some of the younger players, I think it'll be great to see them and get a game there, if not start. And also, it was pointed out earlier, that the away fans would absolutely love to see the young players because we've seen when Hannibal came on against Liverpool Anfield, the away fans loved it. Gary Neville was on commentary, and you could tell he wanted to be in the crowd. He was absolutely loving it. When Hannibal came in and put a tackle in, I think I don't know, I forget who it was. It was a Scouser anyway. That's the big thing. But he went in.
I think it was a tackle on Keita, wasn't it?
It was Naby Keita. Yeah, Naby Keita. That's what it was. And yet he really got stuck in. The fans love that. Like, we love that when we see a bit of passion. I think the young players would run through brick walls. And I think with Ten Hag sitting in the stands on Sunday, I think it's a no-brainer from Ralph to play some of these young players up and close in person. There's no with no disrespect to some of these players, there's no point playing Jesse Lingard. There's no point playing Edison Cavani. There's no point playing Paul Pogba. There's no point playing Eric Bailly. Aaron Wan Bissaka, as much as I think it'd be symbolic for him to play his last game to club away at Palace, if he's not in the plans, there's no point playing Aaron Wan Bissaka. Do you know what I mean?
No point playing De Gea either.
I
don't think there is much.
He's in Ten Hag's plans, but what I mean is,
Tom Heaton.
With Ten Hag being in the stands, right? I think for us as a football club, there's no point playing these players who aren't going to be here next season. Because what's that going to show Eric Ten Hag in the first day he's going to be up in the stands? And Ralph Rangnick being the consultant and apparently someone who's going to be here, planning for the future. Mm-hmm. You understand? So I think for the club, I know Sunday's a free hit, but in many ways, you can use Sunday as a planning exercise for next season, and Ten Hag can look at some of these players in a big game, like a big game environment in the Premier League, in one of the toughest grounds to go to in the Premier League. So I think, look, whereas it's a free hit in terms of Conference League, Europa League, and we probably don't have any personal preference where to be, I think it's a massive opportunity for Joe, kind of a learned experience for the manager.
I don't think there's a genuine problem. Obviously, the one you want to be in is the Champions League, but we don't deserve it. But in terms of the Conference League, there has been some really good sides in the Conference League this year, like Marseille, former European Cup winners, Feyenoord, European Cup winners, like Roma, who I think are going to win the tournament. Even Tottenham Hotspur were in the Conference League. Celtic from Scotland, Celtic have been in the Conference League. I have to admit, there's actually been some real European pedigree in this competition. It's actually given it something. As much as I don't want to be in it, it's still on a Thursday. It's still going to be on a Thursday night, regardless whether you're in Europa League or the Conference. So there's not going to be much change there. The only difference is it's just a little bit of quality. But European experience to me is still European experience. And if we're in it, take it. Take the opportunity. I think I'm not going to say we're going to go and win it, but Ten Hag's serious when it comes to a trophy. He will want focus on it. As much as any competition, whatever in next year, he will want to win it. He'll want to get something going, because the one thing Ten Hag needs, whether it be next season or his second season, the team he's building has to have at least one trophy, because it needs to understand, like, because this team has not won anything. Most of these players haven't won anything since 2017 in Stockholm. The longer we go without a trophy, the harder it gets to win a trophy. And we all know, as like Man United fans, like, for some managers, they can get away with not winning a trophy. For some of them, they have to. Ten Hag, I think, can get away with it. But he is going to need something for his team to have, like, an understanding of what success is, because it helps you develop as a player as well. Like, it gives, oh, we've won something, let's just try and win something else. You don't want to go saying, oh, I've played for Man United, great club, did you win anything? No, I just played week in, week out. I was like, you want to show something from your hard work. And I think that's something that these players want, is they will want, even if it's like an FA Cup to start with, you just want something to go with you. It'd be great, like, to have something added. We've won something, now let's go. You want to get to that next level. And I think that's something he will constantly remind them, is hard work will get you in the team. Hard work will get you to finals. Hard work wins you trophies. That's something that will come down to it for him. And that's something he is motivated by.
Yeah.
The other thing I think with that too, Reece, going off that is if you think about it, it's gonna United. Let's talk sense. We're at the lowest of the low. What I can remember as a 100%. Club. I'm 37 years old now. Obviously, I supported them all my life, played for them, and I can't remember United ever being any worse as an overall club than they are now. You know, in my time. So. Yeah. When we talk about a rebuild, and we're going to have to try and persuade these top players to come to United at the point where we are. So they've got to believe in the rebuild, and to do that, they're going to have to start seeing trophies being won, whichever trophy it's going to be. We're going to have to start winning them at some point, because if we don't, the promises are going to be getting told about the rebuild, and we're going to get back up to. I mean, we shouldn't even be talking about European football or Conference League. We should be talking Champions League football with Man United. Do you know what I mean? And it's so disheartening that we're listening to each other, and even having to contemplate playing in these type of competitions. But we're going to have to start winning some things, or else these players, what we're hoping to get on the belief of a rebuild, aren't going to come if they're not going to win trophies. And it's as simple as that.
It's the same with Alex Ferguson. Those 3 years we didn't win a league title, 04 to like 04, 05, and then obviously the Invincible season when we lost that, which I'm stupidly lost, and then the FA Cup final that we should never have lost in 2005. We didn't win anything until that League Cup in 2006. You just need something to spark. We need something. If it's the Carabao Cup next year, if it's the FA Cup, Europa League, Conference League, I really don't care. Whatever. Like if we just focus on something, we can win something. I'm not going to say we will, because I don't want to get so far ahead, but there is, every season there's at least 4 trophies up for grabs. Getting one of them is feasible. Getting one is feasible, and it's a good start, and we just take it from there. But his team will need something.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I think this is where Ten Hag, in my opinion, needs, I think, 1 to 3 seasons to get that ball rolling. Because I think there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to be done. And yes, progress needs to be shown, but we do have to remember this is a squad who hasn't won a trophy in 5 years. So can we expect this squad to win a trophy next season? I think we need to weed some of these players out and get some of these players in and get the idea and get the style of play implemented. And look, if we win a trophy on the way while doing that, yes, that'd be great. But I think the philosophy, I think for me, the most important thing for season 1 is we can see the idea and we get top 4. For me, that's what I want to see in season 1. We can see the idea and we finish top 4. Like, and Jason said that, like, he's not walked in the door and we're talking about winning everything. Like, to be honest, we're not expecting Ten Hag to win the league. We're not expecting Ten Hag to go out and challenge for the Champions League straight away. Because look, number 1, he's not in it. Number 2, that'd be awful unrealistic. But I think what the lads are saying is they want to see Ten Hag bring back a winning culture to Man United. And I think it's very important, that's done. But like in football, you've seen with Klopp, you've seen with Pep. There was millions spent before Tuchel came in, so he's not really including that. But if you've seen the long-term projects of just recent times of Klopp and Pep, it took them time to win trophies. They got their ideas implemented first. They got their own players in. They got some of the players out that they didn't want. And then after a couple of years, they started winning trophies. I think that's ideally what we want to see in terms of first season, just get back into the Champions League for me. I think that's massively important. Get back into the top four, but also we see that idea don't develop, and we see his style of play, and we see what his overall philosophy is, and we can say, right, that's the way United play. This is the way we expect to play every week. Whereas in the last couple of years, we haven't, like, every week before we do a podcast, we don't know
what's going to happen.
What's going to happen week on week. Whereas we have an idea, this player is going to start. This is the type of formation that's going to be played. This is the type of player that's going to influence the game, and this is how we can win a game.
Yeah.
Hand on heart, honestly, we haven't been able to say that the last couple of years. It's kind of been, look, Bruno plays well, we have a chance. If Ronaldo gets a chance on goal, we might win the game. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that has to be any of that. I think there has to be no ifs, buts, and maybes. There has to be kind of, absolutes. And I think that takes time. You can't do that over one season and expect to win a title. It's ludicrous. But
yeah,
as I pointed out to everyone in the comments, and thanks to everyone for watching. You've all been absolutely great. And I've loved everyone's contributions that have come in. We are reading through them, and there's very, very good comments. Thanks very much for showing your support to Talk the Devils. Today isn't going to be a long podcast because in terms of, like, again, significance of Sunday, in terms of trophies, in terms of nothing, there's no league title race, there's no race for top four. It isn't one of our bigger games this season, but we are going to do our starting 11s and score predictions. Now, I'm going to be honest with everyone in the comments. I've seen there's a couple of new faces in here. This might be your first time watching me, Phil, Lee, and Reese. But Phil Marsh right here beside me has been kicking their backsides all season with starting 11s and score predictions all season. Looks like if we had a league, Phil's probably top the table. So we're actually going to go straight to our starting 11s and score predictions this evening. And I'm going to start with the man who's top of the table at the moment, at this moment in time. We'll call it the imaginary table at the moment because we haven't been taking scores, but we will be for next season. It's going to become a segment on this podcast where we will be doing our league tables, goal difference, a lot. I'm coming up with a new concept for the end of the show. That's going to be fantastic. But since Phil's been kicking our butts all season, let's let Phil give his starting 11 prediction for Sunday, and also your score prediction, Mr. Marsh. And then we go to Lee straight away.
Okay, I'll just do this really quickly. Don't want to sort of, take up any more time of obviously, people are going to shoot off after this. So I'm just going to go straight in with De Gea, Dalot, Varane, Lindelof, Fernandes, Fred, Hannibal, Bruno, and then I'm going to go for Ronaldo, Alanga, and Garnacho as my front three.
Brilliant. And your score prediction?
I'm going to say 2-1 win. I think obviously it's going to be a good mix of sort of, a bit of youth and obviously some experience at the top end of the pitch with Ronaldo. So I think we will sort of find it difficult, as we've touched on. I don't think, some of the lads have built up the relationships and haven't played together enough to sort of, be able to sort of play a full 90 minutes of great football. We've seen that all year, the inconsistencies. So, but I do think that we will finish the season on a slight high, seeing a few of these young lads and getting a win. So, yeah, I'm just going to go for a 2-1 win.
2-1 win. Interesting. So it's the first win that's predicted on the panel. And Phil, actually, I do really like your lineup. You may have something similar, but Mr. Lawrence.
Hello.
You love these starting 11 predictions. Hit me, brother. Give me your 11 and your score prediction.
Okay, so I think going off what he'll do, I think he's going to start with a pretty predictable lineup, and I think he's going to change it more towards half-time, 60 minutes, and put the young lads on. I think that in my head logically, I think that's what he's going to do. So I've gone with David De Gea next. I would have gone with Wan Bissaka, but obviously it looked like he's getting binned, so I'm going to put with Dalot at right back. I think he's going to bring Maguire back in and play him with Varane. And he's going to put Telles on the left. I think he's going to be predictable in midfield and put Fred McTominay in there. And I'm going to go 4-2-3-1. I think he's going to have the top three of Alanga, Hannibal, and Bruno. And I think he's going to put Ronaldo up front. I'm sure I've heard a rumour that Garnaccio's had a bit of a niddle and an injury, and he's going to be travelling in the squad, but it's very doubtful that he's going to be playing. So I've seen that over social media quite a few times. So I don't think he'll be starting.
Reece Russell will be very upset with that. He'll be very, very upset that might alter his 11. Lee, before you shoot off, can you give me your score prediction?
Yeah, I went 2-1-2, mate. 2-1. Obviously, it's going to be hard. I think they're going to be up at Crystal Palace. The atmosphere. I believe is it Gallagher's last game for him too, so he's going to be right up for it. Like we've mentioned, the crowd. It's a great away day. It's going to be a hard task for the lads, and it just depends how much they've got left in the tank. Really, I mean, they've not used so much all season. Let's be honest with you, but it just depends what desire the lads are going to have. To see, to try and grab a bit of pride back for the season. I've not bet against them all season. I'm not going to do it the last game, so I'm going to go for 2-1. But I feel like it's slightly optimistic. Just to go on the doubts, I think I've just wrote a list here. I think Sancho, Phil Jones, Luke Shaw, Garnacho, and Pogba. I'm sure our friend nets have said are all doubts for the game.
Pogba's not a doubt. Pogba's just not playing because of fan reaction. But we're not going to get into that one because we'll be here for the evening, and I have a lot to say about that. But
I think Luke Shaw's missing just had a baby, aren't you? And,
yeah, he actually might be travelling though, so I think Luke Shaw actually might make it. To be fair, I think there's a chance that he might make it. So probably won't start though because he hasn't had much time to train. But yeah, I'd say Luke Shaw will make the squad. I'd say he'd probably travel late, probably Saturday, to the game. But Lee's gone 2-1. Phil's gone 2-1. Lee, I do understand you actually do need to shoot at 8 o'clock. So if you want to jump off now, 100%, pal. Thanks very much for coming on. Look, we definitely will catch up next week, and I will let you know in the group chat.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Plans for next week. Cheers, Lee. Have a good weekend. So, Mr. Russell, I've left you for last for once. Well, last before me, obviously, out of the panel. Give me your start 11 and your score prediction, please, sir.
De Gea, Dalot, Jones, Varane, Tellez, Savic, Hannibal, Bruno, Elanga, Ronaldo, Rashford. Interesting. You've 1-0, 1-0, and Rashford scores.
Ooh, and even a Rashford goal. Can someone take the mask off Reece there, please, and tell me who it is? I'm only messing. I'm only winding you up.
I'm trying to find the screw. Oh wait, there it is. Hold on, no, it's still there. It's still real. No, I think now's actually tough atmosphere in London. Selhurst Park is an absolute riot. It's one of my favourite grounds just to watch football. It's actually a game I actually want to go to live. I'd like to go to a Man United game at Selhurst Park, to be honest. It's just the atmosphere. It's always wild. It's always vibrant. Palace have got a very good side. I've liked watching them this season. I think it'll be quite tight for us. And just like it was in Ralph's first game, I think it's going to be extremely tight. And I think it's just going to be that one goal in it. And I think Rashford really needs it now, really. I generally think, and I've said it all season, I've been consistent, I think now or never for him. I think this is where he really needs to showcase something. I think next season will be make or break from under Ten Hag. I really do. But look, you've seen me. I've been very vocal. I think Marcus Rashford will come back next season. I hope he does. I hope he does. But there's just been so much on it.
The one thing I point out with Marcus Rashford is, and people sleep on it, is Marcus Rashford hasn't had a summer break since the summer of 2019. Mm-hmm. Marcus Rashford has played consistently through injuries through them 3 years. Yeah. Never got a break. Went to the Euros when he probably shouldn't have. He should have got the surgery earlier. Then that situation happened at the Euros. Then he came back early from surgery because our results were dipping this season. He actually came back and scored a couple of goals. Mm-hmm. And then obviously Solskjaer gets sacked. Rashford's role in the squad changes. He's out of form. I think for me, it'd be great for Marcus Rashford this summer to go out and get his rest. He hasn't had rest in 3 years. He's been playing back to back to back, and most of that through injury as well, and then effectively having surgery. Yeah, I think Marcus Rashford now next season under Eric Ten Hag go off, rest the summer, rest physically and mentally, and then come back and go into a head-on next season. And look, if it doesn't work out next season, look, we've seen it happen with players who've come through the academy at United before, where it hasn't worked out. Look, it happens sometimes, and I think, look, no one will, give out to Rashford for that. If he tries his hardest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one will give out to him. No one will get on his back. Well, none of the real Reds will get on his back. Let's be completely honest. Now you'll have some people who will get on his back, but look, that's them. That's
his role. His role will change again. His role will change again next year. I think Sancho. If we don't sign a winger, I think Sancho will be more of the playmaker, and I think Rashford will be more of like the go-to, like trying to cut in and get the goals. But it really does depend. He's got a big summer. I agree with you. He's got a big summer. I don't know what's to come, but there's so much on it, and I think that's the thing is a proper coach can get him to play in the right wing. A proper coach can make him play through the middle. I don't think he's got a God-given right to play the left wing, but he is very effective from the left.
His best football has come on the left wing, though. Like the evidence does suggest his best football has come on the left.
Unfortunately, so is Jadon Sancho. That's the real thing. That's where it's going to come down to.
Yeah, but Sancho was bought to play on the right. This is the thing, and I think this is where, look, it's apples and oranges at the moment. But Phil,
a good coach can work on him.
Yeah, 100%. I do. I think Ten Hag has it in the locker to reignite Rashford.
Yeah.
But Phil, do you agree with this comment though? In terms of Jason has said here, Rashford has to play on the left. He can't play on the right hand side.
I can see where he's coming from because, as we just said, I think the best performances we've seen from Rashford is obviously on the left hand side where he's cutting inside onto his right foot. But I actually agree with Reese. I think, if you're a good enough player that we know he is, you should be able to play on either side, really. And whether that's down to the coaching or whether that's just down to, the player as an individual not being confident enough to play in that role. For me, if you've got all the attributes that he's got, you should be able to play anywhere really across the front three. I think it's just with Marcus Rashford, the sort of penny hasn't dropped. Which is worrying, really, because obviously, even though he is still relatively young, he's been playing top level football for a long while now, and obviously that kind of thing you should be, well into your stride with. So it's a difficult one for me. His best position is on the left. I agree with that, no doubt. But when you watch other players and you see other top players who can play in any of them positions across the front, it's sort of. The question is there to be asked, why can't Rashford play in them positions? And, that's just maybe down to him, whether it's down to the coaching or whatever. But for me, he's been a top player now for too long to not have learned that. And it's not just something that he's going to pick up overnight. So, yeah, it needs to be sort of addressed really quickly. Otherwise, he'll find himself probably moving on because other players will be coming in who can play in them positions.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's one of them where it's make or break now because of the season he's had. I think he needs to get back to what we know he's capable of. Because a lot of people are writing him off, calling him a bad player. Like, I think that's that's nonsense. That is a nonsense. When you look at this is his worst season for United, but if you look at every season previous to that, there was consistent improvement every single season. Numbers went up. Joe, he's taken on more players. He even in Ollie's second last season, he's improving on playmaking as well. I think what Rashford is between the injuries that's happened, between everything that happened this summer, managerial changes, tactical setup changes. This last 12 months has been nothing short of a nightmare for him. And then you consider the off-the-field stuff as well that's been happening. I think this summer it's best for him to kind of mentally just switch off. I think mentally switch off from football completely. Go out and just rest. So spiritually, just go out and just rest. People might say, what are you talking about? But in any line of work in life, if you're having so much going on in your life and your body is sore, you're physically wrecked, you're not going to be able to do your job to its full degree. And I think with Marcus, I think it's best for him to go out, rest, reevaluate his game, watch some, like, even if, like, when he's coming back to preseason, he sits down with Ten Hag and watches old video. Watch old video of when he was playing well and what he was doing well at that time. And say, like, look, this is what I want you to do again. You know, this is the idea I have for you. Then, look, he can identify that and he can get better. And look, again, I've said this for all season and everyone's probably sick of me saying it. We have the greatest probably left winger of all time. One of them in Ronaldo there before he obviously went up front. You've Ronaldo there. If you want to talk about improving your game physically, mentally, you're probably the biggest mentality monster ever in football in your dressing room. Pick his brain. Pick his brain. Sit down with him. Have a conversation. Do you know? Do that. Like, it's one of them where I think Marcus, I just want him to succeed so much. Not just because he's one of our own, and the fact of the matter is, like, you know, he's Manc born and bred, and he's one of them. You know, he's one of the players who's come through the academy, and we, like, Phil, you know what, like, coming through the academy is something special about that. Yeah. So coming through the academy, coming through the cliff, you know, putting on that Man United shirt, there's something special about that. But I think for Marcus Rashford, it's crucial for his career that this season he gets it back on track, because if not, where does he go after Man United? That's the thing.
I think the biggest thing as well with Rashford, because he has got all the attributes we've seen over the years, what he can do when he's on form. You know, he's got everything that you need to be a top footballer. It's just that, you know, this season has been a massive, like he's just completely shot of confidence, whether he's took on too much with outside things that he's been dealing with, or, you know, whether he's just lost the love of the game, or he's been playing through injuries and he's not fully fit. Whatever the reasons are, as you say, he needs to, you know, knuckle down this pre-season and get himself into a position where he's fully focused on job in hand, which is football, Manchester United, performances, you know, working hard, doing the basics right, and then eventually you play your way back into form. Like, he's not going to turn into a bad footballer overnight. It's just sometimes players can sort of over-analyse. You can try too hard at times. You see players sometimes, you know, they're trying to do things when they're not ready to do it yet. And I think Rashford's fell into that category of this season where he's everything he's done really is sort of, you know, gone to pot. So he just needs to try and forget this season as quick as he can. It's difficult as a footballer, but he needs to just reset, get himself back in pre-season with the right mentality, and hopefully, you know, it's a fresh start under a new manager. And as you say, pick the brains of people like Ronaldo, get some of these new coaches to sort of sit down and look at the pros and cons and just work hard, and I'm sure he'll come back to form.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And look, let's see what happens though. Let's see what happens. Look, I just want him to succeed so much, and hopefully he does. I'm gonna, just before we wrap up, I'm gonna give my starting 11 and score prediction, and then look, we'll finish up there for this evening. So I'm gonna go Tom Heaton in goal. I think it'd be great to see Tom Heaton get a game. Look, we know Henderson, but looks things is leaving, judging by the reports that came out with the Newcastle reports in the last kind of 48 hours. Tom Heaton has probably been the consummate professional in the dressing room this season. Phil, you know him well.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. Look, I say, like, look, give Tom Heaton a start this weekend. Why not? I will go because obviously Wan Bissaka is probably not in Ten Hag's plans. Again, there's no point kind of playing him. I go Dalot, just process elimination. Just to see, I want Ten Hag to have a look at him. So I'm going to go Maguire and Varane. Just because I want to see Ten Hag see Harry Maguire in person when he's in the stands, and maybe see if there's something he can do tactically to make it work with Harry next season. So I'd like to see Varane and Maguire as centre-back. I still think that's probably... I know Lindelof and Varane in theory has been decent this season, but I think Maguire and Varane at times have been quite good as well. At times. So... yeah, like, look, I want to see Ten Hag just get a look at him and see if there's anything he can look at, like, watch the game, like, and see if there's anything he can do with Harry Maguire next season. So I'll go for Varane and Maguire. Like you, Phil, I'll actually I'll go Alvaro Fernandez as well. He's been sensational this season. And look, it'd be great to see what he can do in a game like this, especially obviously the very quick forwards, Crystal Palace. So let's see what Fernandez can do. Again, it's going to be a bit the same for me in midfield. I think it'll be McTominay and Fred. Again, these are two players who are probably going to be here next season. Now, again, probably not as starters, going by obviously like the Van de Beek, players like that coming back. I think again, it's one of these where I want to allow Ten Hag to have a look at him in person and see, look, what can they offer him? Look, we all know as United fans what certain players offer in certain positions. Look, I want to see what Ten Hag thinks of him. Let's be honest. I'm giving everyone a clean slate next season in terms of this. Like under Eric Ten Hag, I think that's what we need to do. I know Ten Hag is probably going to do that when he comes in with particular players. We need to do that as a fan base. We need to support him. So I'm going to go McTominay and Fred in midfield just so Ten Hag can get a look at him. I'm going to go Bruno in front of him in the 10. Again, that's just personal preference. Left-hand side, I'm going to go Anthony Elanga. I don't have much choice, really. I'll go let me switch that. I'll go Elanga on the right because Elanga is better on the right than Rashford. I'm going to go Elanga on the right, Rashford off the left. And then I'll go, obviously, the greatest of all time up top. I.e. being Ronaldo. And then just obviously off the bench, honourable mentions, I'd like to see Hannibal get a game off the bench. Charlie Savage, if he's on the bench, get a game. And Phil Jones get one final game. He's been at the club longer than most of these players. If they want to give Phil Jones a cameo towards the end of the game, I won't be opposed to that. Always been professional, despite injuries, and I've been critical of Phil Jones, but he's definitely not one of these bad eggs in the dressing room that's been leaking all sorts of nonsense. So, look, if Phil Jones can get a game, that'd be great to see as well. But I'm going to go score prediction. I'm actually going to go same to Phil and Lee. I'm actually going to do 2-1 United. I'm going to go Bruno to score, and I'm going to go for the crack. I'm going to go Harry Maguire to score from the set piece as well. I've been going for that so much this season. I haven't got it, but one of these days I'm going to get it. And when I do, the group chat, you're never going to hear the end of it, lads. You're never, ever, 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 ever going to hear the end of it when Harry Maguire scores from a set piece. I'm actually going to wrap it up with this final comment of the evening, and it's from Jason. It's a very good comment. Maguire and Rashford have been scapegoats all season, this season. But all the players, bar Ronaldo and De Gea, have been very poor this season. We need to support them. Absolutely. Going into next season, let's support whoever's in the squad next season. Let's give the team, let's give the club support. It's going to be a mad rebuild. There's going to be twists and turns. Look, I think gladly we're all glad to see the back of this season. And Sunday's one final game. For all the ups and downs of the season, I thank Solskjaer, I thank Carrick, I thank Ragnick, for trying. All of them tried. We ultimately failed as a club, but look, they did try. And look, now it's on to a new era, the Eric Ten Hag era. Let's hope for Manchester United that we can move forward. It's gonna be a long road, but look, let's hope we're on the road to more positive times ahead. And look, I'm talking like this is our last ever podcast. It's not. We're going to be doing much more different podcasts, but this is our last kind of game preview until July. And so, look, let's hope it's a good rebuild ahead, and let's hope we can move forward. And look, we see better times ahead. And Helly just finally says, thanks, guys. Great show as always. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy the match on Sunday. Let's hope, as I always say at the end of the show, let's hope United get 3 points, and let's hope we can actually get a performance that we can be proud of. But I'm not going to, guys. Wrap it up there. Like, share, and subscribe as always. And thanks very much for tuning in to Talk the Devils. Do tune in and to Talk Devils with Wayne Barton and Paul Parker next week as well. Until then, guys, thanks very much and have a good weekend.